Welcome back to the News at 9. We are joined with Kathy Kilborn and our friends from Tri-City Furniture. And in this edition of Design Time, we are talking about thread and the effect that it has on our fabrics. Now, this person says, I'm not much of a sewer, but I've noticed the quality of fabric and notions has changed. Yes. So, you know, we have some fabric samples here. Can we talk a little bit about maybe the difference in fabrics from, 30 years ago to now?
Right. Well, a lot of the fabric today is made differently.
Sure.
Many fabrics are printed, and if you do so, you probably have seen this. The back is nothing, because it was printed on plain fabric and the design is on the front. So you really don't have a lot of wearability because it's a much thinner fabric. Okay?
Okay.
As compared to a fabric that's woven. And usually they're going to have a little more bulk on the face, but you're going to see a reverse of the pattern actually on the back. And so this is actually woven together, much heavier fabric.
Right.
And so the durability factor plus what they're made out of for cleanability. So if you have polyester as compared to cotton, your cleanability and your durability are going to be different.
Sure.
Now, the factor of thread, and I run into this a lot. I sew a little, not a lot, but my grandma was a seamstress, and I can always remember running to get the scissors because you just couldn't snap it when you came to the end of a seam or something like that. When I'm sewing today, I find that the thread will break going through the machine because of the tension that's on it. So what has happened with the imported fiber is they're making it thinner, and they're not putting the strength of the, now those are hair fibers twisted together. So we don't have as much of the thickness in the thread. I dug through and I found one that actually said made in USA. And so I tried with the tension, and when I pull, I can if I really try, but a lot of tension is required. So we can just talk about this as why fabrics aren't lasting. Because if you're using a fiber that is much thinner and lighter, it's going to easily stretch apart or actually rub holes through, and it's not going to have the durability, like maybe fabrics 20 years ago.
Now, I've seen, some upholstery fabrics at, craft stores and things like that look similar to, the fabrics and things like that. So, how does that hold up? You see that at the furniture store, the same pattern? So what is, what's the difference in the pattern, the furniture or the fabric store versus?
So what happens with fabrics, because I run into this a lot, and people say, well, I could just buy that for $15 a yard, and yours is $50. What's the difference? You have to understand that furniture manufacturers do not make fiber. They buy that from a mill. And the fabrics come in, every roll by a manufacturer is going to be checked for color dye lots, the repeat of a pattern, so that when they upholster it onto the sofa, they're making a $1,000 sofa, they don't want to find out part of the way through the color is changing. So what happens when they're testing these, and they're actually hand scanned for thin spots and knots, and so what happens is about 60% of the fabric which is sent to a manufacturer is returned. Those fabrics then are sold out low price to other stores that they're not, when you're just buying 3 yards, it may not be a really big issue. But you don't really know if it's a dye lot, pattern match, a thin spot, knots that are reoccurring. So you want to really, if you're going to buy something like that, make sure that you check what you're buying. Because those are actually rejects. And that's the reason for the price difference. So it's really important when you're buying a quality sofa that your fabric, because the fabric is the first thing to show a problem.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Good to know. Thanks a lot, Kathy. Thank you so much for joining us for this edition of Design Time on TV5 News at 9 a.m.